Oh, goodness. My son called and I had to answer the telephone. I'm having another grandbaby, but it's a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay. They figured out the sky pods aren't bombs, said Xavier, who had been watching the news nonstop since the story broke. Something about the size and weight of them. And they are organic, even though no one can figure out where they came from. My dad is really excited, Manuel said. He got a phone call yesterday from the agency that is handling the sky pods. They want him to come and examine them personally because he's a geologist, I guess, and a professor at the college. Manuel sighed. He's going over to the high school this afternoon. I haven't seen him this energized in a long time. You should go with him, Xavier said. Will he let you go? Maybe. He usually likes to work alone, but I'll ask him, Manuel said. Great. Let us know what he says about it. Manuel nodded. I will. Evan tried to concentrate on the sword fighting when they started practicing again, but his mind kept returning to the sky pods. He felt responsible. He had to undo what he did somehow, but he had no idea how. He wished Rue would call them back to a Hortus so he could ask him. He knew there was a way to get to a Hortus without being called by the crest, but he didn't know what it was. Mr. J.R. knew, and Rook knew, because they both went to a Hortus whenever they wanted to, but they hadn't told the kids yet. It seemed to be some deep secret that they had to figure out for themselves, as usual. Time for some practice bouts, Mr. J.R. announced suddenly, calling all the kids together. Pair up. Finn and Xavier, Manuel and Ivy, Brianna and Levi. Mr. J.R. paused, realizing Evan was left out. Evan, how about you spar with Rook? Evan nodded without energy. He followed Rook to a corner of the gym so they would have some room to work. Rook got into his sparring stance, but Evan just stood there, looking at the floor. Rook relaxed and bent down to see Evan's face. You okay, kid? You look worried about something. It's nothing. And by nothing, do you mean the pods coming through a portal that you might have opened? Evan stared at Rook. How did you? Then he shook his head. Of course Rook knew. Evan had almost forgotten how Rook had been there the whole time. He'd protected Evan from the Ents in the Quaranton field. He'd probably known all along that Evan had the key in his pocket, which had made him a prime target for the enemy. Evan sighed. It's my fault that those pods are here. I need to get back to the cave and talk to Rue. I need to find out how to get rid of them before something terrible happens. He raised pleading eyes to Rook. Can't you show me how to get there, please? Rook took a breath, thinking it over. It's really not up to me to tell you that. If Ruach hasn't told you yet, it's because you don't need to know yet. And anyway, the best thing for you to do right now is the assignment that Ruach has given you. Learn to use the sword. Evan nodded. I guess so. So, Rook said, raising his sword again, let's practice.